What's up, folks? Thanks for joining us today for this overview, and I hope we'll bring something to you about this AC Milan game that can be beneficial to you, and it will add some value to your info of this AC Milan fixture already. I'm not too sure how you guys feeling about this game. I'm pretty nervous, pretty optimistic, somewhere between the fans. uh and yeah, I have very neutral feelings about this game. Nothing too much, nothing very exciting. So but instead of hearing from me, why don't you hear from our guest? And I'll let you know a little bit about this guest. He is a football philosopher, a soccer Socrates, definitely not negative. And he's the host of America's number one Tottenham fan channel. And as some of you would have already guessed it, it's none other than Will Stewart.
What's going on, folks? What's going on, Elias? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good.
You're too tired, right? I think at the end of the day, there, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's tired. I mean, I just got off in like a 3-hour stream earlier in the day. I was over on Tottenham away, and yeah, we're here to talk about AC Milan.
Yep. So tell us, Will, how are you feeling? I mean, I was just sharing with everybody that yeah, I'm a bit nervous about this game, particularly due to some reasons. How are you feeling going into this game?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I'm fairly confident on the game. You know, we've had an increase in form, and they've had a decrease in form. You know, I think they've won one game out of the last 7 or 8. So
yeah,
you know what they're doing right now. They've got some injuries and stuff like that. Their goalkeeper should be out for this game, and I mean, well, so is ours now. But so it's not really an advantage anymore. But I guess it is when it looks at the attacking, side of things. We've had, a lot better. We have a lot better front line than they do, right? So,
so you are pretty. You think that we'll pretty much rely on our attack rather than our defense?
well, yeah, I
Definitely.
mean, they have some weaknesses in their defense too, right? So, the forwards that they have aren't necessarily horrible, but it's a pretty aging front line, right? I mean, it's made up of what? Zlatan, Giroud, and Origi, right? So,
Yep. I mean,
um,
Zlatan is not even available, I suppose, for this game.
yeah, I haven't heard of any of the player news necessarily about who's available and who's not, but for them going forward, some of their big key players like Tomori, although he may be back from what I've heard.
Yeah, he might be
Um,
back.
Giroud has been playing well for them as well, but like I said, he's aging as well. So, it's, I guess you say ours front line's a little bit old too, with Son and Kane almost being in the 30s. But I mean, for the most part, though, I think we've got a deeper squad than they do, and we've both been in bad form as of late. Tottenham, I guess, have recovered a little bit earlier than them, but
Okay.
kind of is what it is, I guess.
Okay. So you feel that that the difference between the attack and the depth of that squad would really come into play, because they are, I think, solely relying right now on Giroud and Origi, since Zlatan is kind of out, and he's been actually having a knee injury as well, some knee issues. What do you think about the midfield? Like, do you think that they might press us in midfield instead? Like, because now we have Højbjerg, who is suspended, he won't be playing the Milan game. So, do you think they might try to press us there, since you might be relying on, and you don't have Bissouma as well, you are relying solely on Skip, Sar?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I hadn't really thought about that. I didn't know that Højbjerg was suspended for this game.
Yeah, he's suspended
Um,
due to his yellow card count.
yeah, so that's an issue for sure. Romero, we won't have to worry about because his was in the league. You've also got, who is it? I think Denjuma or whatever. I could probably play in midfield too. If you really wanted to, throw somebody in there that was a little bigger and a little stronger. Um, I don't know. It's a good question with the different things they got going on, but just kind of looking at their starting 11 in their last match. Um, I think Brem Diaz has been fairly good for them this season, and then Oliver Giroud. But other than that, their fullbacks are what? Yeah, Hernandez, he's a good player.
Yeah.
Salim Akers, I don't know who that is. So, and then you have what Krunic in midfield and Tonali, right? So then Raphael Lau up front. So they're
Yeah,
pretty
Laos up
weak.
front.
It looks right now.
And they are not doing bad in Serie A, but definitely in Champions League is all different game. But do you think that like AC Milan, and then given their history in Champions League and in the cups, do you think that would come into play and they may turn up in a cup, like because in league you're kind of like, okay, you're playing round robin, and in the cup when it's knockout, would that kind of like get the teams to step up a bit to the level as, and it's definitely it's Champions League.
Well, no, I think players um always step up in the Champions League compared to others. But yeah, and it looks like I'm looking at this now, and I don't know how serious it was, but it looks like Origi came on for Giroud, who was injured in the last
Oh,
game against Torino. It was an injury substitution, so maybe Giroud is out as well. I don't know how serious that is. It's maybe something we should look into, but um, yeah, it looks like Origi came on for Giroud in the 89th minute, and it looks like it was an injury substitution. So,
I see. Wow, that's new to me now actually. So are we saying that now we are relying on another team's injury news and their problems more than actually our squad, because we do have our problems as well, definitely. I mean, given our back line, you have some liabilities there, and then now you don't have Hoiberg in the midfield. It's going to be a major blow. um, should we say that, yeah, we are just playing a weaker side at the moment who are just out with injuries and the circumstances that they are facing?
yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, it just depends on our situation too. Like if we have some injuries, like Basuma too, we don't know how bad that is yet. Is there any word on how long he's going to be out? Because he may be back in time for the game on Tuesday, right? He may miss Leicester. Um,
Apparently he's going through injuries, sorry, surgery, so he has to be out for a while, I guess.
is he going through surgery?
Yeah, he's going through a surgery.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But we're definitely not going through as big of a problem as them, though, right? They've got McGinnon, Florenzi, Tamori, Dest, Benecker, all those, and now Giroud if his injury was bad enough. So, they've got a lot of top players out. Whereas if Basuma is our only and Højbjerg, we've made it through. With Sar in midfield if we have to, but it just depends on who's registered in that midfield for Champions League. Is Pape Matar registered now, or does Conte have to end up messing around with his formation? Do we play a four at the back against our 3-4-3? It just kind of depends, I guess, on what's going on. We'll have to see. I think we'll have to see. I think there's a lot of
Let's just,
mysteries.
yeah, there are a lot of mysteries, and
Integro is injured, right? So,
yep.
um, Basuma being absent, does it really? I mean, he hasn't played much first this season anyway. I mean, and Sar looked all right when he came on. He doesn't have any Champions League experience or even European experience that I remember. So, Skip in that vein has had a little bit more, right? So the pressure, But yeah, look, I mean, to be honest with you, we've got Denjuma, we've got Richarlison, we've got Son, we've got Kane, we've got Kulusevski. all those guys up front are fit and firing, right? So I don't see us having any problems. We've got Pedro Porro now as well. No problems in our back line. Yeah, Hugo being out is a bit of a hit. Um, so one midfielder being a little bit weaker than necessary. I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue.
A
You might
major
see
blow.
Sun. Yeah, I think you might see Sun and Kulu maybe defending a little bit more, maybe kind of going into that more Man City mode rather than being open and pushing higher up the pitch. But look, man, all we gotta do is get a win, right? So we don't have to beat them. We don't have to beat them horribly. All we gotta do is win.
Yeah, since it's a cup game, so definitely you just have to keep your aggregate nice. Um, it's a home game. Do you think the home advantage is with them? Definitely. I mean, they have the home advantage, but how much of it would come into play? Given that now I think it's been a while since we played a away game in Champions League. The last time I think it was back in 2019, was it? So
In a knockout, because I mean, we played away in the group stages, right? Twice or three
yeah,
times.
yeah, in the knockout. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's been a while for playing in a knockout. It's going to be a huge thing. I mean, that what Italy is a very dedicated fan base, and it's always a nasty. I mean, that's why they got the barriers around the pitch, right? So I mean, it's always going to be kind of a nasty environment. Um, but no, I mean, I think it's going to be fun. It's just even at their full strength, if their full strength, our full strength, I think we win. I think we have a deeper squad than them. I think we have a better, higher quality squad than them on paper. So when our team shows up, if both guys showed up with their best on the day, I think we still win. It's just a matter of does that team show up, right? So
the winning mentality is there or not, and I think, but that has been a problem with us as well. Like, I mean, we sometimes go into games and where we are expected to win, like the Dr. Tottenham thing. Do you think that can come into play and then ruin the night for us as the fans?
look, you know me, that's why they call me the football philosopher. I don't get into like the whole historian fallacy, like the history is doomed to repeat itself type of things. I take each game one game at a
One at a
time and
time.
look at the factors that are there, um, for each game, right? So, um, who's available, who's available for them, who's not for that. I mean, you can look at even looking at like past form, right? Just because they've lost, what, they've lost or drawn, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven out of the last eight, doesn't mean that they're gonna lose this one, right? So, and they've lost pretty bad too. I mean, they lost 4-0 to Lazio, 5-2 to Sassuolo, 3-0 to Inter Milan, 1-0 recently. So it looks like the results are getting a little bit better, right? I mean, start off a little shaky, drawing with Roma, drawing with Lecce. But then they came in and they beat Torino. It looks like today. So
Yep, it was today,
um,
just a couple hours ago.
yeah. So maybe they're working their way back
And it
into it.
would
So
it be like a confidence booster? I mean, definitely after 6, 7
yeah,
games
better
winning a
than
one,
losing. You
better than
know,
losing. So
'cause, I mean
definitely
they
this
had
would be.
what, 4 losses in a row. 5 out of the last 7 were losses, 2 draws. Right. So this is our first win since you know a long
Since
time.
December. Yeah, I think
Since
even even in one of their friendlies, they lost pretty badly to PSV, I suppose. Yeah.
since
So
January 4th was the last time they won a game. And that was against Salernitana, right? So
January 4th. Yep, correct. So coming back to the question when we were discussing about the squad and the depth of it, do you think that there's any area where they do pose a threat? Like, let's say a particular player or particular or somebody just make it that day out of their injured squad, and then they can pose a threat onto some of our, let's say, pressure our backline or maybe our wings. Let's just say, for example, Perisic has been not that great when it comes to handling dribblers and the fast wingers. Do you think there are some players who can pose threats in those areas? Like, let's say somebody who can pose threats to Emerson, even on the other side as well, and outpace him. Are there any such issues? Do you foresee something?
Um, Diaz, he's a good player. As far as what he's done, he's a smaller player though, right? So, young player too, but I mean he's been pretty decent this season for him. His overall record is about a 7. Looks like he's got 4 goals and um, 3 assists for them in the league so far. He's really the only one though that they've got right now that's kind of worrying, right? So, the other guy they got on the other side, um, what's his name?
What's his name? Uh,
Um,
is it is it Catalari? Is it Charles de Catalari? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Or Rabic
Rafael Liao is
or
who
Rafael
play.
Leao. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
is who played for him in the last game on the left. Um, he had a horrible game. He's a young guy too, right? Um, I think he's can be a little bit better. He's got 8 goals this season and 5 assists. So maybe just had a bad game against Torino, but this season they haven't really been one of their top players this season. So, um,
But
look,
eight
I
goals
don't know.
is Serie A is not that bad. I mean, that league is not really a scoring league. Yeah, they play a very more defensive, uh, passive sort of football. So 8 goals. I mean, isn't it better than currently Kulusevski's goal record at the moment, right? Given Syria.
Yeah, but I mean, how many games is Kulizeski played? Right, he hasn't played a whole lot yet. And then two, I mean, you'd have to look at their form in the Champions League and stuff like that as well. But it's do they have good players? Yeah. Do they have world class players that you should be necessarily afraid of? I don't think they do right now. I mean, like a lot of their biggest, like Ben Answer being out, he's been our best player this year, and then Tamori, well, there's a chance he could be back, but is he going to be, um, back up to pace? Just because you're back, on the bench doesn't mean that you're match fit, right? After you've been out for a long time, um, and then Tonali and stuff like that. Um, it's tough, man. Hernandez, like he's the guy that can get you though, right? So playing as a wing back, he could cause us some problems.
Oh, definitely.
Um, especially he'll be, rocking about in our, you know, kind of our weak side there, having to go up against, whether it be Emerson or Pedro Porro, just depends. But whoever got there on our right side has to go up against our left side, right? So, um,
And do you think now again, coming back to the wings, would it be now that Conte might start Pedro Porro or Emerson this time? And now there's another one going on that, yeah, should Emerson start playing as a right center back? I mean, I'll be discussing that now later on in my Leicester game review as well. So I just thought of asking you this question as well. Do you think that it's even a valid debate that yeah, Emerson, since due to his defensive capabilities, he can play as a right center back instead of a right wing back, and then you start playing Pedro Porro as a right wing back. We don't know yet because at the time currently as we are recording, we haven't seen the Leicester game and what Conte might try there since Romero is not available. But would you do that even like let's say put Romero in the center and have Emerson as a right center back for that?
Um, no, no, I don't necessarily. No, I wouldn't do that. Maybe you could say, look, I would rather throw him into the midfield in this particular instance if Hoybier's out and have him play as kind of like a defensive midfielder.
As in you'll put Emerson in midfield?
Yeah, why not? He's played um in that position
Wow.
sometimes, right? There was one time when he was playing up high. Look, because if you're going to need a defensive person to stay home, you got him and Bentancur. He can kind of play on that right hand side a little bit. You know, I mean, what's really the difference between playing a wing back, a right midfielder, and a right center mid, right? I mean, you're just not as wide, right?
Yeah,
Um,
given his defensive capabilities.
yeah, like
That's an interesting one. Like I was not expecting that. Emerson in right midfield. Wow.
yeah, if Hoiberg's out, Bentancur and Emerson, let him be a little more of the one that sits at home, right? Because he basically has to do the same things he does on the right. It's just he doesn't get as high up, right? So he's staying a little bit deeper, a little bit more compact. I mean, I would rather, or even having Romero fill in that. But like, I mean, who are you going to put on the right then? Emerson, right? Like, why? I don't think you should lower the quality of your defenders. Um, like for the Leicester game, it's one thing because Romero's
Injured. Injured.
or he's suspended, right? He's not injured, but he's suspended.
Yeah, suspended. Sorry.
Um, so then you can think about getting a little bit creative, but then you just have Sanchez come in, or even have Davinson Sanchez play in Hoiberg's spot. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you do, what Conte's gonna do. Um,
Yep.
you know, or
And
put
Conte.
Kulusevski in there with Bentancur in the midfield, and have Richarlison play on the right, or Danjuma play on the right up front, right? So there's a lot of things you could do. I think there's some options there that could be interesting to see. But no, I think when it comes up to it, when we're head to head with them, them at full strength and us at full strength, even then I think we got a shot, right? Like I think it's a pretty even matchup. With them having a lot of injuries and us having a few, I think we're better off. So I think we got the upper hand in this tie. I think we'll get through. I would
I
say
hope
it's going
so.
to be a close one, probably 1-0, 2-0 or something like that.
I'll go
On
for one
Tuesday.
nil. 1-0 at my most positive side because somehow I don't know why, but whenever we play in Europe, I'm kind of nervous. Like even we lost to Enes Mura. I mean, but definitely, like you said, it's not that we would bottle a game like this. But somehow I haven't seen much of the European glory because I'm a very recent fan, as you all know. So I'm always a bit nervous going into those games. So 1-0, maybe I'll take it as well because you need to win that game, and especially given it's a away game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way there's no more away goal rule, right? So we just have to be better out of the two. We gotta have, we gotta score more goals in total out of the two fixtures in them to guarantee that we get through. But you know, it's nice to have the second leg at home because then you know what you got to do to get through, right? So you've got that benefit. But hey, I mean, there's not really a lot to talk about until until we really get there and watch it. Unfortunately, right? Right now, there's so many questions for both sides that it's really hard to make an educated prediction on how you think things are going to go. Right? Both clubs have been out of form. Both clubs have recently kind of come back into form.
Champions
Both
League is a totally different ball game.
Yes, I mean you don't know how players are going to show up, right? Richarlison hasn't scored anything in the league, and he's got 2 goals in the Champions League, right? So, you
And
never
he'll be
know
back.
how. Even Son, right? Son has more goals than Harry Kane in the Champions League when people are talking about him, right? So,
How many goals does Son have in Champions
got
League?
two,
Just curious.
two in the Champions
Yes,
League.
two.
Yeah, Harry
And
Kane's only scored one.
Harry Kane only has
So,
one.
yeah. So I
So
mean,
you
it's
think
like you don't know. what's going to happen. So
Into the unknown world of the Champions League,
that's
I
right.
guess. And I think pretty much your squad prediction is there. You'll go with the normal setup that we use. Pedro Porro or Emerson. What do you think? Given
I
that
think
now
you, I
I'm
think you got I think you got to play Poro against Hernandez. I really do. I think you do.
definitely because of his pace, right? He's the left wing back, so you need someone
Yeah.
to match him there.
I mean, he's got
Because
pace, and I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. It's Look. I mean, for me, Emerson Royale, regardless of his recent form in the Man City game, which is a completely different fixture, right? This isn't going to be. This is tactics are pretty much the same, right? 3-4-2-1 versus 3-4-2-1. You've got to be honest with you, playing AC Milan for me is going to be analogous, right? Not equal to, but analogous to us like playing a team like Brighton.
hmm,
I think, right?
the tactic, is it because of the managerial mindset or
Yeah, I
the
mean, it's similar formations, similar tactics. They probably have, when fit, a little bit more of a solid defense than us, but we have a better attack. It's just kind of there's a lot of parallels I think you could draw from the two sides at the moment. But like I said, man, there's so many variables now that are kind of outside of the mix that are applicable, right? You can't ignore their impact or the influence that they'll have on the effect of the game, right? So,
that's a good one.
um, yeah,
Just curious, since you brought that point up, that they also play a 3-4-2-1, and I think in Premier League we don't see many sides that play a 3-4-2-1 compare, and then they are traditionally Italians. They are more familiar with that setup. Like in Syria, many teams usually try that formation. Them being expert in that formation, I'll say, given that yeah, it's the Italian league and all that, their familiarity, would that give a slight edge in terms of their tactics to them when they play a 3-4-2-1? Given that we as Tottenham fans often discuss this topic as well, that we don't have the players in our squad who are suited very well to the 3-4-2-1. Do you
I think
think
we
that
do
gives a
now,
chance?
though. I think with if Perisic being fit and Poro being there, I think we do have. I think we have a better. I think the addition to Pedro Porro is going to make a big impact on the second half of the season. I really do. I'm fairly confident um, that he's going to open up. I mean, we're talking a guy with like what 7 goals and 8 assists or something like that, and
More
in
than that,
Portugal
actually.
before he came to us, um, in the league, right?
He has like 13 goal involvements in 23 games for a defender or a wing back, is which
Yeah,
is
in all
great.
comps, I think it's 13 or something like that. But yeah, man, I mean, it's insane, right? So I think it's going to be, we'll have to see how the defense and with Hoiberg being out, and maybe if you're going to get if the wingbacks can get a little bit higher, that midfielder needs to be a little bit stronger there. You don't know, but again, you got Bentancur there, so he's going to have to step it up. Romero being there, they should have to step it up. Kulusevski dropping back to help. He's gonna have to step it up. I'm curious to see what's gonna be like because if people Spurs fans remember when Matt Doherty was kind of in form and doing good things, assisting and scoring goals, we were beating
Yeah,
teams 5-4-5, nil, right? We were battering teams when Matt Doherty was
doing
playing
well.
really really well as a wingback, right? So if Poro can come in and replicate that type of effect, I can only see positive things. Will it happen? No, you can't be certain that it will happen. But objectively, I think you can create a pretty good argument that if you at least duplicate Matt Doherty's attacking prowess, on form prowess in Pedro Poro, we start beating teams easier than we have in the past. So um,
Yeah, So you're saying that actually having a wing back suited to that system really makes a big difference, I suppose.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. They're kind of the linchpins of that. Right.
yeah, because I've been recently reading a bit on that formation as well, and I think you also did a review on it recently and on one of your channels.
Yeah, a couple of the
That
dates were off by a year or whatever, but yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it can be a bit tricky given that, but I think we now have a better team compared to what we had before Poro came in, because just having Poro, it does give us a bit of an edge. And the other one is now the battle between. Do you think who would be the one taking over Giroud? Like, let's say if Giroud plays, Giroud has that
Be
tendency to be doing.
Origi who starts. Yeah.
Yeah, you have Origi as well. Who do you think would take on Origi and Giroud from our front three? Like, what kind of battle do you foresee? Is it going to be Dyer taking on Giroud, or do you think it would be Romero, like what we saw in the City game? That Romero is the one who takes over the main center forward, and Dyer kind of takes over like the number 10 role player or
Well,
one
no,
of the.
because I mean it's a 3-4-2-1, 3-4-2-1. It's mirror, so it's gonna be man to man, right? You're gonna have man to man markups,
Yeah,
matchups. So they don't. The reason why we did that for City is because in City we're playing a 4-4-2 against us, right? So you had Alvarez on the right and Haaland on the left. So you have two strikers there that you have to necessarily kind of man mark out of the game, and then you had what's his name in midfield that needed to be stepped up and
Albert.
marked. So
Yeah.
um, well, I mean
So
Alvarez was playing as a center forward underneath
underneath Holland.
Haaland, yeah.
So
It was a
I
four
think
four two with striker center forward Perry.
so. Here you think that it will be a straightforward man-to-man marking, or they may change a little bit. Like they may ask Romero to help. I mean, definitely he has to help
Oh, he's
Dyer,
gonna
because
have a
I.
guy to mark. It's a three. It's a
Yep.
3-4-2-1, 3-4-2-1, right? 3v3, 4v4, 3v3, right? So their three strikers are going to be busy with our, two attacking mids and a striker, and our three defenders are going to be busy with their two attacking mids and a striker. So it's really just
So
going to
so just
be a matter of quality on the day who gets it done.
so just to wrap it up, like, let's say it would be Dyer marking Giroud, and Romero I think would be marking Origi, I suppose. Would it be?
Whoever plays on that right hand side, right, or their left
Yeah,
hand
whoever
side for
plays on,
them.
yeah, left hand side would be Romero. And
Um, yeah. So Origi wasn't playing this last game against Torino, or today against Torino. It was Giroud, and then two other fellas, right? So, um, you know, it's gonna be difficult for that. So they had Rafael Leao and Bram Diaz in their attacking mid roles. So
yeah, so Origi wasn't playing there. But I think it won't be that big of a problem for Eric Dyer to mark Giroud. What do you think about that battle? Like, because
if
Dyer
Giroud
also.
plays, 'cause he's supposedly went out with an injury today, but um, yeah, I mean Dyer I think can handle Giroud. Giroud can be a sneaky player, but so can Origi, dude. Look
Yeah.
what Origi did to us in the Champions League final back in 2019, right? So, um, you know, Origi's no slouch. He can play. So,
Yeah, I mean that because the defense is gonna be crucial in this one. I mean, because both sides, I personally feel that they may rely on their attack as well, given their only big names are there, and we all also another team that rely on a very defensive game. But let's just say if we struggle with our first half performances again, do you foresee that we may lose the game if, let's say, we fail to score in the first half and then they score in the first half? Do you think that would be a problem, given now that they have a home support, they may sit back deep, and we have creativity issues? You no longer have Hoiberg, who can help you create certain chances as well. What do you think about that one?
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a loss. It's just Bentancur's gonna have to step up and have a good game, right? You know, look, I don't know. it's hard to say because things could go. Sarr could have a stinker. The pressure could get to him, right? But look, I mean, at the end of the day, I think when it's all said and done, I think we have better quality up front than they do. Probably now fit equal quality to they have in the back line. So I think it's just a toss up, man. I think it's just who wants it more on the day.
Yeah, so it will be, I think, very much the who is the better team on the day itself. Definitely. Is there anything in particular that you think that you like to share about this AC Milan game that I haven't mentioned yet so far?
Um, no, except I mean it'll be the first time that we get to see Pedro Porro. I hope. But I
And
don't think
who?
Emerson should start against Leicester. I don't think he should start against AC Milan. I don't think he should start um ever again. And look, I'm gonna be upset if we continue to if it takes a month for Porro to get into the team. I
Yeah,
really
I
am.
mean, why would you take a month to sign a player and then not play him in one of some of your crucial games? Exactly right.
Yeah, for me, it's. I think he's gonna be a real big player. Like it may take him a few games to get his legs under his feet, but you got to give him that time, right? You're just gonna have to bite the bullet and break him in quick, right? Because um, we need his abilities going forward to make this system work, right?
Yep.
Or
I
otherwise,
mean,
we should play 3-5-2, right? What's the point in playing the attacking 3-4-2-1 over the 3-5-2 if we're not going to have an attacking wing back there? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, we might see something like that. Like, let's say if Conte feels he want to press them in the midfield, he may play a 3-5-2. We don't know, but I
yeah, but
think
Poro's a better presser than pressing isn't necessarily about winning the ball. It's just about putting pressure to make him make a mistake. So you want the faster, more technical player pressuring people than the clumsy oaf. You know,
yep, yep. So your score prediction is 1-0 for the away game.
yeah, 1-0, 2-0. Um,
You think we can keep a clean sheet with
yeah,
without Hugo Lloris?
yeah, because I mean we don't allow a lot when we play well. We don't allow a lot of shots on target anyway, right? So if Fraser Foster only has to deal with four shots that come right at him, it doesn't. He's big enough that he could just get in the way, right? Like you don't have to be. I mean, look at the
Yeah,
games where the games recently we've kept clean sheets, and tell me which one Hugo Lloris actually had to work for. Right? He didn't. So the way that our system works is when we defend well in our three banks of four, right? Um, or two banks of four with the center sweeper in Eric Dyer, um, not a lot can get through. So um, the goalkeepers tend to not have a lot to deal with. If they do end up having a lot to deal with, then see, man. But look, I mean, the
yeah,
coaching staff trusts him. I'm willing to give him a shot. Fraser Forster, willing to, let him make a mistake before I criticize him too much. But, you know,
yeah. I think we haven't seen much of him lately in the Tottenham shirt. Like one game or two game, and I think he had decent performances. There was one game I think he made an error, but I think that was like that was a fast ball, like, which I can't remember. It was one of the cup games, I guess. He made an error. Um, but I guess it would be interesting to see how Fraser Foster, because I used to admire Fraser Foster a lot in his game when he used to play for Southampton, and I wanted to see more of him this year. And I think this is the real opportunity for him to shine now in the Champions League, and then he'll be playing some league games as well. And yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see. And I'll go with 1-0 from my side, and I think it would be, who will be your goal scorers if, let's say, if it's 2-0 as per your predictions? Sun one and Kane one.
yeah, son. Kulusevski, Kane, doesn't matter. Pick one.
I see. So you don't want to predict the goal scorers?
Well, I mean, I think look at the forwards who were in the most form in the Champions League. To be honest with you, I think Son has probably got the highest rating in the Champions League for us as a
He even
forward.
won one of the Player of the Match awards, right? I think for
Yeah.
the Frankfurt
So
game.
a lot of the other games have come from. I mean, I could pull it up here and look, but the
Yep, for sure.
a lot of the other games, um, uh, our midfielder scored, Hoiberg or whatever. You had Richarlison scored. Harry Kane's only scored once. Richarlison's got 2 goals. Son's got 2. Um, so I'm trying to look at what his form has been in the Champions League here. So his form in the Champions League right now, his average is 7.25. And in the league, it's 7.8. So, he's had better form in the Champions League than he has in the league, with his best match being the one there against Frankfurt, where he scored 2 goals, obviously. But
So
even against Sporting.
in league was Frankfurt game. That's the one I think he got the Player of the Match award, right?
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah, I mean, you never know. It could be the time when Sun starts kicking in as well, like for the Champions League. And I mean, I personally think that I'm seeing a lot more positive game from Sun, given now he has improved on his speed much more than I think that the struggles that he was having late in the World Cup and in the early January. Like in some of the recent games, he looked much more faster, much more agile, and he was much more proactive. Uh, it's just that I feel that the passes have to be a bit more accurate coming to him because he's not getting that quality into in the final third from the wing backs that he was getting, and when Reggie used to play with us, and that's when he got really firing. So I would love to see some of that actually in the Champions League. But will any final thoughts on the game?
no, man, come on, Spurs. It's my only spot, thought.
Yep. Nothing from my end as well, and yeah, I let's see what happens on my Wednesday, and I think it's your Tuesday, I suppose. Will
Yeah, Tuesday,
yeah,
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day game, and I think Will is going to do a Valentine's Day special THFC rant show, I suppose,
Yeah,
after the
apparently I'm
Milan.
getting dressed up. So I'll be wearing a tie and,
And you're gonna
goofy
have the
stuff.
heart balloons behind instead of footballs. You're
I
gonna
don't
put the
know. Should I
heart
do heart
balloons there.
balloons? I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So if you guys are catching me on here, and if you haven't subscribed to Will Stewart 365 or Tottenham Away, I think that's where we do the THFC rant show, and I'm usually there as well after every game. So make sure to go and hit the like and subscribe button there as well. And yeah, it's pretty fun actually. The THFC rant show is one of my favorite things to do over the weekend these days. And make sure you go and hit the subscribe button. And if you are catching this video either on YouTube, or if you're catching the shot on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, make sure you head on to the YouTube and click the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified for more videos on this game. We will be doing a bit more content on the AC Milan game and some of the upcoming fixtures as well. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and as always, come on you Spurs.
Yeah.